Good afternoon. It's very difficult after lunchtime to come and hear a speech anywhere. But we'll make it as short as possible. Unless I request her not to give me a warning, but give me just signal enough. So my dear friends, Mukeshji, distinguished guests, my Swamiji, also brothers and sisters. Let me tell you, I've been hearing since 2 days all religious speeches with the Hinduism, religion. Let me tell you, first of all, I would like to thank and congratulate the organizers for having such a good, efficient way of managing. Let me tell you, Mr. Ragunathan invited me to come. I was just hesitating because we are traveling everywhere. Then Swami Jnananji, he said, Shetty, you forgot, you are the first one to start Vishwa Parishad in Udupi. It is true. I have the privilege of sponsoring Vishwa Parishad at the young age of 24 from the college. We started the first Vishwa Parishad. I am glad to tell you who all came for that, especially two individuals who are no more. One is Chimandaji and there is Maharani Rajamate, Vijayaraja Sindhi. And I can't believe, I wish I had some photos now with me. I don't have. But really it was a very nice program. Let me also tell you, I was maybe one of the very few alive Janasangh man. I was in Janasangh at that time under leadership of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and we were the municipal councillors. And to tell you frankly, that was the time where Vajpayee came to work for an election and Indira Gandhi came to work for other party. I am telling you with proud that we got 12 seats out of 15 and they got 3 seats. You're very happy to know, even now, Oscar Fernandez is one of the councillors who got elected with us. Then we became the vice chairman. Atalji made me as the vice chairman of the municipal council. And again, the second term, I won and with a good majority. But what I'm trying to tell you here, what we did there is only nothing but social service. What Modi is telling now, Clean India, same Atalji also was telling. So there was to be manual carriage of feces. So we abolished that, started septic toilets. Then we realized we need underground drainage. Then we realized we need water supply. So along with this, we became very big borrowers from Syndicate Bank. I will tell you, reminds me still, Dhirubhai Ambani and myself and my chairman, V.S. Acharya, came together in the same lift after TFI sanction 6 crore rupees to Reliance, 2 crore for Udupi municipality. So these were the entries of our municipality. But in the end, we were not corrupt. We are sacrificing ourselves. Our pocket money is gone to that. One vote obligation is not simple. So we used to look after health, education, marriage of the daughters, house construction, everything. So that is how, in the end, second election is over. I was penniless. I couldn't borrow anything else. I can't say I don't have money. But still I was driving my car with credit petrol. And then Syndicate Bank chairman, KK Pai gave me loan for my sister's bank. I'm just telling you briefly, and that's how it is. And to repay the loan, I came to Abu Dhabi. Well, there is no way that we can repay it. So that's we are almost in the arrested stage at that time. My colleagues have gone to jail. I came to Abu Dhabi, not ran away like other people have gone to go. I have a credit to say, all my loan I paid in NRI dollar. So that's a good thing. And any income tax I have. So this is the short story, sir. And having suffered, I am not a doctor as I said, I am a pharmacist. I came to Abu Dhabi, there is no job available. I came to repay the loan. So I am just telling you, you are talking about Muslim, Hindu distance. I am telling you. Mohan Bhagat yesterday gave 6 formulas. And in that formula, I was just telling my colleague that it is true that I am practicing it. As a Hindu, hardcore Hindu, came to Abu Dhabi, a Muslim country, won their heart, and they are with me totally. You can see this award, this order of Abu Dhabi, the highest civilian award ever got so far. First was the American Dr. Kennedy, who conducted the delivery of the Crown Prince. Second was the Commander William, who trained the army from day one of Abu Dhabi. Third is myself. And I was surprised how they said. But what I'm trying to tell you, as you are good to them, heart to talk, they are the best friends. I'm telling you, they are so good. And here I quote our Modi ji story. When Modi ji came to Abu Dhabi, all the 6 brothers came from different parts of the world. They received him in Abu Dhabi airport, out of protocol. Generally, Sheikh, when the Prime Minister comes, on that level, Sheikhs have gone 6 brothers to the plane to receive him. Not only they received, when they came down, he gave all the several pages of agenda, what all the cooperation will have with India. See the confidence level. Modi ji was so, he is not Modi ji, I would say, Yuga Purush of ours, now India's Yuga Purush. And you can't believe, they hugged him totally, and same night, I'm glad to share with you, they gave not only the defense agreement, social agreement, criminal agreement, whatever it is. Other than that, they also gave a temple permission to Abu Dhabi in the never done 2,000 millennia, we wouldn't have been able to get it. A puja if they make, they report the people. So that's the type of country it was. Now they are very good religious harmony, tolerance, everything they practice. To be frank with you, one of the mosques of Sheikh Mohammed, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, he gave that mosque to Catholic Church. To that, for us, he gave first 2.5 acres land, then it was small and short, then he gave 5 acres, then he said, Shetty, you need more, 14 acres land, he gave 3 or 4. Not only that, the permissions from all the levels, instantly. Wherever you go, Babs, Swamiji, Babu Vihari, he is there, bless His Holiness, they touch their feet and they give. It used to, never used to be wearing Kavi, Abu Dhabi. So that's the type of change the Highness has made. So I'm just, and all of you, I'm just extending my greetings to him, also thanks to him for the benevolent actions. And I don't want to take more, but I'm telling you, here's a question of startups. Modi ji starts up, Digital India, Make in India, all these things have become so successful. As of today, the last session was so good, all the foreign investors are very, very happy. They said we are very happy, and all these people, we have engineers, Skill India also required, technicians also required. So I'm glad that we are also doing the same job. And I think before you take your sign up, I will conclude here. And thank you very much. What is required now? I'm telling you, another 2-3 terms, BJP should rule India. As far as I am concerned, we are ready to dedicate Tanu Van Dhan for this sake, and also and to healthcare. Nalini Thakur is there, and she is also in our board, and we are now a man, you can imagine, just for the startups, people. I didn't bring any dollar to them. I came in the loan. And what I brought is my true Hinduism, culture and shared. And they are one of the very few that they like us. And as of today, they started from Abu Dhabi, healthcare. As of today, is 200 facilities in 17 countries, homegrown company in Abu Dhabi, and it's listed in London, FTSE 100 company. Not only that, the market cap has gone up to $11 billion. And what we did, I, as I am in BR Shetty, I went to India after Modi ji came, rural, urban, as well as tribal area, making healthcare and education. Mami, welcome. So she is our blessing, Rajnath Singh ji, very, very close sister, and Thank you, madam. Welcome, mummy. Welcome, mummy. Welcome. Okay. We are inaugurated, but my time is over. She is about to show me the signal. I should finish. Okay. This is all when I tell you. And I was there in UP. I had a chance to talk in that good function, investors conference. Yogi was there, Yogi was there, and I said, "You are doing a great job. Investors are very happy. So many crores of rupees have come there, and they are doing a good job." And I told them, "We community people are indebted to Modi ji. On behalf of all the NRIs," I told them, "on behalf of 25 plus NRIs, I extend you big thanks to you, Modi ji." I told them in the function openly, and because of you, we are now very, very humble than like this before. Now we are like this. Every Indian is proud of Indian, and every queue you go, Indian come. That's the type of welcome we get. And thank you, Mr. Modi ji. This I told him. He was present there, and this is the message I would like to give you. And let us all go back, as you said earlier meeting. Americans should come. I earn in UAE. I'm going my experience and the fortune fund to India to make. And for startups, we also have capital. We are ready to support your startups. I've got other colleagues here. They want to talk to you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Shetty. Namaskar and pranams. It's always a privilege to be standing and talking in a web conference, and this is double privilege because I'm a very humble volunteer of WEF, and it's always good to contribute in whatever form you can. And I've been a student of Ramakrishna Mission right from my third form until my undergraduate. And then standing next to a statue of 12 feet on this historic event is again more privileged, I feel. Mukesh, I think, talked about the startup ecosystem when he gave his opening remarks. I think this session is more about funding, the challenges and opportunities more in emerging markets. I thought I will set the stage in terms of some of the options of funding and where we stand compared to the emerging market growth story. I think we all know that startups generally get funded on a bootstrap mode. It's always good to fund on a bootstrap mode, and most startups get funded on a bootstrap mode, which is on a self-funding basis. There are a couple of advantages when you do self-funding, is because the next investor who gets in, he has great confidence that you have put in your own skin in the game, and that's probably one of the biggest factors why people do put in their own money until you come to a stage before you can seek out the funding. But then, if you look at the India story of startup, I think we had 13.7 billion worth startup capital last year, 2017, which is compared to US is about 1/6. US had, I think, 84 billion worth startup capital in the 2017. The reason why, we did grow very well. In 2016, we were only about 4.6 billion. For that, we jumped up to 13.7, which is a very good remark. But then I think the whole impetus given in 2014-15 budget by the Modi government in terms of creating this 10,000 crore startup capital, and further in terms of the programs, I think that really fueled the first real igniting effort in terms of creating the startup funding ecosystem. But still, we have a long way to go. I know the 13.7 billion funding happens over breakfast in Silicon Valley, but that's a different story. But we are still very optimistic. I think we have come a long way in terms of growing to this scale. I'm sure we will now grow in the geometric progression from year after. I'm not very worried that we're only 1/6, but I'm very happy that we've come up to 13.7 billion in the last year. One other point I wanted to touch base in terms of funding option is crowdfunding. Unfortunately, we didn't get on to a good regulation in India in terms of enabling that. If you look at US, I think a couple of years back itself, we crossed 35 billions in terms of crowdfunding. Kickstarter is it's a name which is known across, and a lot of people use crowdfunding as the most easiest option. We did get on to some good regulations in terms of P2P, peer-to-peer funding, and that's taken off well because it's regulated by the Reserve Bank and that took off reasonably well, but we are not just still in terms of crowdfunding for equity. SEBI, I understand, I closely work with both the regulators, AIB as well as SEBI. SEBI is in the process of putting through something. I hope they come out with soon because they're losing a real opportunity. A country where there is very good savings rate, we are close to about 30% in terms of savings, and all the savings countries generally have a very good crowdfunding system because that's what it is. It's a natural automatic process for people. So I'm sure, I think we have the final stages of the regulation. I hope the regulation comes in soon and then we're able to really kick off that well because we're really missing a great opportunity there. The peer-to-peer funding has taken off well. I think I think there are close to about 15 of them today in the Indian market, and all of them are doing very well. I hope they do well, and that's also an option for people to look at as startup funding. Of course, when you look at startups, the first immediate remembrance is angel capital, angel funding, which is primarily the source of funding for most of them. Even if you look at some of the biggest companies in the world, they all have been through angel funding, right from Google's to everybody. Morning, I think we heard Walmart talking about Flipkart. Flipkart went through angel funding. Every one of them has gone through angel funding. But if you look at the angel funding scenario, if you again compare it with the advanced market to emerging market, a couple of challenges. We have gone again quite well. There are quite a bit of funding which is happening across the system. But if you look at the wealth creation objective of investors across the Western markets to the emerging markets, a lot of people, yesterday somebody talked about the Indians being in the billionaires list of the world. The only difference is, if you look at the billionaires and the billionaires in India, they have a lot of asset capital and they are little liquid in terms of cash. And if you look at billionaires in the US, they are more liquid in terms of cash and probably less in terms of asset. That's a big difference. But that really makes a difference in terms of money being available for startup capital. So that's one small difference which we find, but I'm sure we are there, getting there in terms of enabling the startup ecosystem from the angel system. And I see a lot of new angels coming in. The Indian angel network is very active. They do very good funding. But then companies, if you are on a completely disruptive idea, then angels are not the best fit for you. Because they generally invest in a system which is known, which they can easily understand. A lot of biotech ventures, you see a lot of drug discovery companies, early stage, not getting funding because they are not suited to angel funding. And if you're having a very good disruptive idea, then you go on to a venture funding, which is better. But generally, venture capitalists would love to fund you when you are in a revenue stream mode and not really when on a put-up mode. But if you look at the venture capital funding industry as well as the angel funding combinedly put together in India, I think we've had a lot of new angel funding investors coming in, right from the West to the Indian local investors coming in. But the only challenge we lack is the mentorship opportunity which you have in this country. We still lack a lot of mentorship opportunity. A lot of startups, the only thing which we feel they lack, I actually help a lot of startups in terms of funding, in terms of their mentorship. I have close to about 10 people working in my office, how do you get finance? When we get into a discussion more, we always find that either the substance is very good and the farm is lacking, or the farm is very good and the substance is lacking. In terms of preparations. So the mentorship process, which is one of the critical process for a startup capital to be engaging themselves to the next level, I think if that process can be a little more strengthened and there are more volunteers to venture for companies, I think that would probably enable the system to come to the next level, will take the next growth level. From that angle, if you look at incubators and accelerators, they are a better option because they do provide you a facility of mentorship together. And a lot of accelerators, they help you with initial funding. And if you are possibly looking at a space as well as some support, then that's one of the options to go in. A lot of university startup accelerators, a lot of incubators, the whole funding mechanism which is provided by Modi government in terms of creating large infrastructure. There are close to about 25 of them or 30 of them coming up across the various multi-cities. Those are the options for people to get into a funding mode to support their startup. Lastly, I also want to talk about the startup capital. which is the primary one which triggered this whole thinking. Mr. Shetty talked about the Modi government's initiatives. There are one important aspect I want to touch upon there is in terms of if you are a discovery company, there are today funding available close to about $6 million in terms of even doing for the trials. That's something which is very astonishing. In terms of, I've recently got grant funding for a biotech company in terms of their second trials as well as the phase 3 trials, completely funded in terms of startup funding. It's a grant funding. In case you don't go through it, in case the trials fail, you have no obligation to repay. And I think if you look at the first vaccine which was indigenously produced in India, rotavirus, a company from Trinidad, that was completely grant funded. So I think we have gone there to that level in terms of getting about $6-7 million grant funding for a biotech enterprise or a drug discovery enterprise. But then we are not there in the early stage, and we are still struggling in terms of funding for the growth stage. We get stuck sometimes in the Series A and Series B, but then we have good sort of ecosystem. I think we have some challenges in terms of policy, some in terms of fueling growth, some in terms of mentorship. But then I think compared to what we saw in the last 3 years, we've taken a big leap. I'm sure we'll take a much bigger leap in the next 3 years to come. And probably in the next World Congress, we will see much brighter picture. Thank you.
Namaskar. It's a privilege and honor to be here at this office gathering. I remember having spoken on a forum like this in Bangkok in 2013. Saravs is here, and there we spoke about the need for startups. At least now we are talking about need for capital for the startups. So the things have really moved forward. And I thought it's important to share a bit of perspective on this whole need for capital. But I think here Mr. Shetty is a living example of the way that capital should be raised. I think he has stolen the thunder just by being here and showing the way that how an empire can be created from a negative capital, almost zero capital, to a $11 billion, and not for. I'm really humbled. We are all humbled with your presence and the kind of path that you have shown, exemplary path for any entrepreneur. I think we should learn from someone like Mr. Shetty to see how we can create global empires. And we can really be a meaningful player in whatever business we do. But not everyone got a chance to come with a negative capital and build $11 billion. All of us have a different path, maybe slightly different. So I thought, let me just put some perspective. Just a little disclaimer from my side. Look at this particular slide. I've just attempted to put in, very often we focus on early stage. I think a lot of emphasis is being given to what happens in early stage companies. How do we really help them start from there, from an idea to some kind of a prototype and then piloting it and then taking it forward. The challenge now, equally important, is the growth stage as well. If you really look at the challenge in Bharat, most of the challenges in SME sector, which is the backbone of employment, backbone of our export, is in the growth stage capital. Most of them are proprietary in nature. They have their own way of working. They may not be as institutionalized as many of the institutional investors would like them to be. And they do not get the right growth capital impetus in the right time to build a scale, to be a meaningful player in this global competitive world. And when we talk about this, let's also not forget that right now we are going through a different challenge altogether. The challenge is not in the startup space. The challenge is not so much in the growth capital stage. The challenge in the last, you see, there's a bit of, you see what is this? Right now we are going through a cycle where the distressed capital is required the most. Look at what's happening in the banking sector, the whole NPA cycle, and where the businesses have landed. We can all blame what has happened in the past, but we have the responsibility to correct that. And the only way it can be corrected is to bring some bit of innovation in bringing that distressed capital to make it work again. Because as long as we keep these enterprises in distress stress, which these enterprises are, we are losing valuable opportunity to build the economy. I can tell you, today we are talking and celebrating about 8.2% GDP growth numbers reported just recently, and some of our speakers in the previous session spoke about that we should be double-digit growth. We are already in double-digit growth. Take the pullback that we are getting from the distress out of the business. We should be somewhere in the 11 to 12% growth rate today had this NPA cycle of this distressed capital that we are currently needed in the economy would have not been there. So this is where I think the significant amount of focus and attention is required as we speak. Maybe things will change, but this is what I'm trying to emphasize upon, that the need for capital is required at every stage, and we as a country, we as an economy, we as an ecosystem have to be mindful that this intervention is required at every stage. Right now, the biggest intervention I mentioned is the growth capital for the SME sector, and more importantly, the distress capital for the NPA cycle that we are going through. But if you really look at it, more often than not, we focus on one side of it. What we require is an ecosystem like a forest. Now, I think I've spoken a while back, but it's not that our traditional system was not good enough. Maybe we have not lived the values of traditional system to provide the support at every stage of capital. What was the traditional means of financing when a new business used to start? Community used to come together and provide the seed capital to the entrepreneur who is willing to start a new business. I'm sure Mr. Shetty could have been there in the community there. The way I was grown up in my village in Rajasthan, it was that when a new business used to happen, all of us used to go, all the community people used to go, and they used to give them some amount of money on the capital account, which that fellow can always earn and give it back at some stage, obviously without interest. So that's a good part. But that is how the community support was there. That's the traditional way of financing it. Similar way, in the times of need, when the business was going through a tough phase, the community used to come together and they used to provide some support. I don't know too much about the various other communities that were seen, but at least the community that I come from, the Western community in that part of the world, we were told that people used to go and give some kind of a gold and kind of a coin and a brick for the community to come out of that particular situation. So we have seen traditional models of not only the angel or seed round, we have also seen traditional model of distress round. But if you see the common link between these two is the community. It was the community which provided the vital support at every stage of the business, be it the startup or be it at the time of need when the business was not doing that well. But more importantly, I would like to highlight that I think we need to start respecting the capital a lot more than what we currently do. I think the Western model, which we appreciate because this is how some of the global empires have been created, the respect for capital is still less. Please, I come across a lot of young people who come and say, hey guys, this is how I'm going to build the business, and this is how my business will be valued and all that, and I want to raise $5 million of capital or $10 million of capital. But look at it. I just simply ask them, do you know the cost of capital? The cost of capital is, in Indian context at least I can talk about, is not less than 20%. Do you feel you want, if you have the right intent to build the business and pay back the investor, then please be mindful of the cost of capital, a concept that we have at times not paid enough attention to. But the more important aspect is, how do we attract this pool of capital? Today, there is a lot of demand for capital and there is enough capital available. But the vital link missing between the two is the credibility. How do we bring the demand for capital in a credible manner? The only way that I can think of is that we have to build credibility by attracting the right anchors to the specific business. And this is very simple to do. If you understand a particular industry, if somebody comes from an industry or something that you can relate to, if you become a credible investor to that venture, let rest of the capital come as a follow-up capital. Very often I have seen the tendency that if I understand something good, if somebody comes to me, hey, I will fund it, you be my investing company. But that really doesn't build the power of capital. The power of capital can only be built if something that I understand the most, I encourage, something you understand the most, you encourage, and let everyone else participate in it, because we then bring the multiplier force coming together and bringing this power of capital. That could be the need, be it early stage, big need for distress. There are a lot of businesses currently going through a phase of distress, and I can tell you there is a significant value today in many of these businesses. However, most investors don't really understand at what stage we need to fund it, do we really need to fund it. If you can get the right anchor, you can get the capital. So I have one simple ask to all of you. Shall we not pledge? I think there are many people in the audience here who can pledge that let's be part of this ecosystem by building the right anchor to the various deals, early stage, growth stage, or distress stage, whatever it is. Thank you so much.
Namaskar, everyone. And it's certainly my privilege and honor to be speaking here at the World Hindu Economic Forum, and more particularly to be speaking after my elders. Satya has actually ended off on a note that I will continue, which is really how do you match the supply and demand for capital in a credible manner. And I want to take you back to 3 years ago. World leaders gathered at the United Nations in New York, and they came to an historic agreement. And it was an agreement that had a vision that said they would all like to see a world free of poverty, a world where all societies lived in peace, and a world where there was prosperity for all. And those aspirations of world leaders actually are the same aspirations of the World Hindu Economic Forum. It's exactly what we are asking for in terms of the society that we would like to create. The agreement resulted in what became known as the Sustainable Development Goals. And there were 17 goals, the major one being a world free of poverty. And there were others that dealt with how would you then eradicate hunger, illiteracy, and fight climate change. Of course, as with all leaders, they, in a sense, the heads of state, they made an agreement and they went back home. But there's always a gap between aspiration and action. And when they went back home, they realized that where will we get the money to fund these SDGs? It actually, the estimated cost turned out to be $90 trillion US to fight world poverty, hunger, illiteracy, and to even achieve the other SDGs, which basically meant that there was a funding gap based on existing capital of about $3 trillion US a year. And that's almost the size of Bharat's economy. And the issue became, how do we now match that demand to the supply of capital? And it's here that I want to talk about the need. It really meant we needed to have what we call a paradigm shift. We needed to think differently. And one concept that has come up is the concept of what we call diaspora bonds, where I want to apply it in this specific context of Hindu diaspora bonds as a new source of finance. And essentially what it is, it's a debt instrument that taps into the savings of the Hindu diaspora. And it's so synonymous with the entire thinking that you create wealth with 100 hands and you share it with 1,000 hands. And what happens is you end up with this long-term, stable, and less expensive source of private capital that can be used to help build a better world. Now, around the world, we've seen countries that have issued these diaspora bonds. And I just highlighted 3 countries. The first, of course, is Bharat, which has issued these diaspora bonds on 3 occasions and managed to raise about just over $11 billion for balance of payment support during the crisis in 1991. And then after when Bharat faced sanctions from the world community for nuclear testing, the Hindu community, the Indian community was able to come together to provide support. The other country that has raised these bonds and really with a very strong history is Israel, and Israel has raised more than $40 billion for economic development from its diaspora. And just last year, Nigeria was able to raise $300 million from its diaspora. What it says is that the capital is there, and the mechanism is there, but it also says no private sector entity has yet issued a diaspora bond. And that means there's an opportunity here for the global Hindu community, and in particular for the World Hindu Economic Forum, to pioneer a new financial concept. And why I say that is because by now we should know Bharat's diaspora is now the largest in the world. The United Nations in 2015, in its report, indicated that Bharat has 16 million persons counted as part of its diaspora in more than 50 countries. So it is not only an intellectual storehouse, it's a financial powerhouse, and that power has to be used in the service of mankind. And let me give you an illustration of how that could be done. So what I did here was to simply take what's the size of the Hindu diaspora in the Americas. And by the Americas, I'm talking about the United States, Canada, Trinidad, Guyana, and Suriname, where there's also a large Indian diaspora present. Of course, not as large in numbers, but also certainly very influential and very powerful in an economic sense. And the numbers would suggest from the official sources that there are about 3.3 million Hindus in the diaspora in the Americas. Now what is key is I've developed an economic model that takes into account the demographics, savings, the income, the unemployment rates for the diaspora, and I've been able to build through and come up with estimates of what the annual savings would look like for that diaspora. And it suggests almost $4 billion in savings per year. Now let me put that in context. Now of course most of those savings are held in low yielding bank accounts. And I'm going to put that $4 billion in context. Right outside the doors to this hall is the Seva International booth. And then at that booth you will actually see this pamphlet that talks about what the death and destruction that the floods have brought to Kerala. Kerala is now asking for, the state government of Kerala is asking the central government for 1.5 billion US dollars to rebuild and reconstruct Kerala. That could easily be met by the Hindu diaspora in the Americas. That is the power that you hold in your hands. So rather than, so imagine if the World Hindu Economic Forum partnered with Seva International, you can help rebuild Kerala. What I want to leave you with here is really that as Hindus, we really do have the power in our hands when we come together that we can make a change not only globally, but we can help provide the type of society that that our world leaders have been asking for, and that we ourselves, as members, as Hindus, that we've been aspiring to. Thank you very much.
Excellency, thank you very much. I think very interesting opportunity. Our youngsters are here, entrepreneurs. Just to give you one or two good examples, there's a good opportunity for a business startup. There are two very good opportunities. One is distressed asset you can buy. You can start a company of acquiring distressed assets, or exactly go and buy the asset. Another is the insurance is opened up, just opened up. Life insurance now, have medical insurance. With your collaboration from America or France or anywhere, you can come to India, start this business. It's a good startup. It's an opportunity. Like when I went to Abu Dhabi, there's the right time, right opportunity, right place I had. Like that, this is right business is ready for you. Other than your technical business, you can do. And our friends here, they want to fund anything, angel fund, this fund, anything. He would like to give them some brief about educate. Also, whenever you make some money, my friends, keep in mind Bharat. You know, one man came to me. He just right in front of me here. Shetty, I was busy doing something. He said, Shetty, I want to do Mahabharat. I said, what? Mahabharat. Immediately struck me. Modi ji is always saying Bharat, Bharat, Bharat. Even this conference, always Bharat. So I told him, but he said, but it will cost 750,000, sorry, 750 crores. Sri Kumar, make it 1,000 crores. It should be the best one in the world. It should be translated to all the languages in the world and do it. I fund it. This is what I do. As of today, I think I wanted the blessing of the Hindu community because they don't want, I don't want like Padmavati picture like tomorrow they will wash dirty hands in public. So I just wanted everybody's clearance, you do it. That's why he is here to talk to the people, concerned people to clear it. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. You always think of giving back to the country. 1 minute I'll give to you. And Satya did a very good job by two good postmortem. I want to give the phone to him. He can guide you still further.
I think I have covered it, but just very often actually for those of us who have got little fortunate to be saying that we have the ability to help and support financially somebody who has got an idea or for that matter a need for the business. See, there are two ways you can look at life, and we can look at this philosophical, spiritual way and business way. But I have seen people, and we work with a lot of such interesting people, that very often people tend to defer their philanthropy till the last moment in the life. I mean, each one of us have that the tendency, oh, I have this much, okay, I'll give you little, and we try to see at some stage I will give it, but maybe the stage is not there, and in the process we keep deferring the decision. And even if we start giving it, we start trickling it, literally, I mean, small amount. So I said the best way that you can combine your social ambition and your, what we call the wealth ambition, is to basically combine the two. And anything worthwhile you see that can change the shape of the society in a meaningful manner for a business, you can start contributing it by providing capital to it. And that will also not bring the karta bhav, the aham bhav of ego of doing something, because ultimately you are doing because you want to earn out of it. Let your capital be put to use, and you cannot have this feeling in your mind that you have done something as a grant or as a charity or as what is it, karta bhav, aham bhav also goes away from it. That's a little more philosophical side. So, and when you invest, you don't think that I should trickle my investment little. I mean, you can invest because this money belongs to you, and you can definitely invest. So I would urge all of you who are here and those who are not there, that whatever be your surplus capital, whatever you do on charity, philanthropy, keep doing the good work. Please do that. But for whatever is left, please start allocating as much as you can. But at least 20 to 25% of that money should go towards building sustainable businesses in whichever part of the world you feel you can help with. And it could be a startup, it could be growth capital, it could be something that you can call it as a distress capital, whatever it be. More importantly, you have to help somebody by pulling the community together. So if you have the ability to write the entire $1 million check, please do not write. Write that whatever check, 100,000, 50,000, 200,000, and tell the rest of your 10 friends or 15 friends that you have, let them also come along. Let them also be part of your community journey. Because if everything, see, this is how the power of capital has to be brought in. And that's the only way we can be the change agent in the society, by providing the right incentive for social activities. And I think the business is the biggest social activity for change that we can support without bringing the karta bhav, the aham, the ego in you.
I just want to add a couple of points to, in terms of the startup funding. A lot of young entrepreneurs come into office and say, no, we want to get this funding done, but then they just, the startup mode, they do everything. So they feel that this whole fundraising could be a everyday half-an-hour job. That's why they allocate time for it. It doesn't work that way. Funding is a serious exercise, and you need to spend full time on it, and if you have to do that successfully for you. Because that's why you prepare yourself for the funding aspect in terms of how the other person would view it. So you have to take it as a full-time exercise and get the right mentorship and get the right preparation done. And most, India is a large, we are very good in production, we're not a great marketing country. So a lot of these startup ideas, they really lack the market competitiveness. That's where you have to really reshape it. And adding on to Satya's point, what he said, it's very true that from a wealth allocation standpoint, equities are not been a great asset class of life by the family offices across, at least in the emerging markets. We need to get that trend changed. Unless we get that trend changed, in case we have to look at the numbers, what is being projected, we need 10 times more startup capital in the next 7 to 10 years. We're talking about something like 90 billion or 100 billion. It's difficult, big numbers we're talking about. And in order to get that big numbers, where is it going to come from? With the currency playing this way, international capital is becoming less attractive. So it has to be locally, domestically, it has to be sourced. So where is that money going to come? There is money, but then the kind of appetite we have to create in people to do that, that's a change we have to bring in. That's very important.
I have a question for Mr. Shetty. I don't want to give it up so easily on your journey.
Please.
Can you just tell me your experience of building it from that minus to that $11 billion?
I will tell you. It's only the passion, loyalty, and the commitment. How I did, my only intention is to repay the money back. And you may ask why I so many business ideas. My mother, when I left India, she told me, you don't go, you don't need to go to repay the loan. I have my property, I will sell that. I said, no, I'm a man, I'll go out and. That's why I came. And there's no job. You know, any job is okay. Clerk, typist, oil company, good job. Pharmacist, you should know Arabic. I did not know Arabic. So what I did, I was the first outdoor salesman in the country, selling medicines, consumer items, other things. And I started taking commissions on the business. I repaid the money loan within 1 year. Once I repaid the loan, I declared myself, now I'm the loan-free man. That's the biggest satisfaction. I don't think anybody can have this feeling. So there the richness comes, not the accumulation of money. But having said it, I will also tell you, all the business what I did, service oriented. My mother told me when I left, you should do business which is service oriented to the community. So I did healthcare and also money remittance company. At that time, money remittance was so difficult for blue collar people to send money. Only Bank of Baroda was there. It takes 7 days to reach the money. Maybe to reach the money 15 days. So we started the IT, very good technology. Now you pay, now you receive. What they said, flip the business, we have our own instant transfer. We also have travel access. I have acquired the travel globally. Now one more thing I'll tell you, it's not the acquire only. Whatever the surplus I have, first thing I remember my hometown. For you too also. Remember charity beginnings at home. You start some facilities in your hometown. Charity beginnings, from there it starts. I made a government hospital, 70-bed hospital, as a 200-bed hospital. I requested government of Karnataka to give my mother's name. They gave me the name, allowed me to put the name. I built that hospital, 200-bed, central air condition. Another 400-bed for profit. So that profit is going to sustain this hospital. I'm telling you, and it's the first time, there's a lot of objection by our own people. Then I got Nadda Sahib, central minister. He came to inaugurate it. He was shocked. How can you afford it? I said, by the grace of God, our share price is doing well. Let the community enjoy it. I got very small company. Good to be, but that's enough for me. I said, my other children are studied, well settled, enough. Now I want to give back to society. Always remember, you have to give back. Coming again to your point of stress assets. I am not telling having said all my sacrifices. Stress asset, there is one that is Assam Tea Company. If you heard of it, I finished. Assam Tea, it was liquidation. Rabindranath Tagore's grandfather, 1839 he started. And I went there, it's like a mafia, nobody wanted to go there. Last year it was over, then the SBI chairman is the only one who can allow me to go. Assam Chief Minister Shetty called. Then he also called, I also told him, and he gave the chance to go. As of today, I got the Assam Tea Company for whatever the amount, the lowest, highest, that next was 450. Mine is 1,000. So one man came to me, why? You quoted so much, 70 you are nothing, now you have money and you think too much of it. I said, no. He told me, I came up like this. My partners are bankers. I didn't want bankers to lose the money. Let them take 70-80% back. On that basis I quoted. And he was upset that somebody gave information. I said, nobody gave information. And that's over, I got it. In addition to that, you know Seven Hills Hospital in Mumbai, that's also for liquidation. So I got it. And my reputation because of the hospital free came to Mumbai Chief Minister. But now he said, Shetty, you should deserve this hospital because they have to give some free or concession for the municipal. I said, it is my passion. I'll give. Believe me, I can quote no problem. Reliance, Apollo, Manipal, Fortis. They wanted to quote. Last day, nobody quoted. Because the news spread that Shetty is coming with this concept. So I'm telling you, my dear entrepreneurs, keep your reputation. As he also said, your reputation is very important to further funding. Keep your reputation. For me now, money is not a problem. Anybody will fund you. So keep that in mind. Build your reputation. Nothing will happen. Don't be selfish. Be open-minded. Money will come, follow you. Thank you.